Welcome back to my channel, Pocket Change Coins. If you're excited about finding hidden gems in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we're going to uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're diving into the fascinating world of the 2004 Louisiana Purchase nickel, part of a special series that celebrates one of the most important moments in US history. But this isn't just a history lesson, because for the right person, this little coin could be hiding an enormous surprise. So, make sure you stick around to the very end, because we'll be revealing just how much this nickel could actually be worth if it's the rare one collectors dream about. Let's start by talking about the story behind the coin. In 2004, the United States Mint launched the Westward Journey Nickel Series, commemorating the bicentennial of the Louisiana Purchase and the famous Lewis and Clark expedition that followed. These weren't just ordinary nickels, they were designed to honor a pivotal time in American history, when the country quite literally doubled in size with a single stroke of a pen. The Louisiana Purchase of 1803 was a groundbreaking moment. For just $15 million, the U.S. acquired a vast territory from France, stretching from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains. This single deal laid the foundation for westward expansion and shaped the future of the nation. To honor that moment, the U.S. Mint issued a redesigned nickel in 2004. The obverse, or front of the coin, featured a newly enhanced portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of the architects of the Louisiana Purchase. But the reverse is where the tribute truly came to life. It displays two hands shaking, one representing the United States, the other Native American tribes, with a peace medal worn by Lewis and Clark. Above it, the date, 1803, is inscribed, marking the year of the monumental land deal. Now, here's what makes the 2004 Louisiana Purchase nickel so intriguing. Millions of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, hence the small P mark. Most of them were put into circulation, used in daily transactions, tossed into coin jars, or forgotten in dresser drawers. But here's the twist. Not all of these nickels are alike. In rare cases, something happened during the minting process that turned an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collectible. That's where mint errors come in. Now, mint errors can happen for a variety of reasons. Sometimes a coin is struck on the wrong metal blank, also known as a planchet. Other times, the die that stamps the coin might be misaligned or damaged, creating double images or distorted features. There have even been cases where the edge is miscut or the entire design is off-center. These types of errors are incredibly rare and highly prized by collectors, especially when they appear on historically significant coins like the Louisiana Purchase nickel. What makes this coin even more appealing is its dual nature. It's both a modern collectible and a piece of American storytelling. The handshake image is not just symbolic, it represents diplomacy, exploration, and the beginning of America's westward journey. It captures the spirit of cooperation, and also the complexity of what followed. It's more than a coin, it's a conversation piece, a little chunk of metal that carries centuries of history. Now imagine finding one of these nickels in your collection, but not just any version. Imagine it's in mint state condition, meaning it's never been circulated, free from wear, and perfectly preserved. And now imagine that it also carries a major minting error, making it a true one-of-a-kind. This is where it gets exciting. Because while most 2004 Louisiana Purchase nickels are worth only a few cents or maybe a few dollars in great condition, the rarest versions have sold at auction for a number that would make anyone do a double take. So, what's the highest known value for a rare 2004 Louisiana Purchase nickel with the right error and top-tier condition? Well, here's the moment you've been waiting for. One of these nickels, flawless in condition, featuring a rare minting error, and authenticated by a professional grading service, was once sold for an eye-widening total of $80,000, yes, $80,000. For a 5-cent coin. So the next time you come across one of these special nickels, take a closer look. Look for that Philadelphia mint mark. Examine the condition. Check for anything unusual, because your ordinary-looking nickel might just be an extraordinary piece of American history, and maybe even a life-changing discovery. Second rare coin, we're talking about the 1971 Jefferson nickel. That's right, a 5-cent piece that's been sitting in drawers, jars, and glove compartments for decades. But what if I told you that one of these could be worth an incredible amount of money? Sounds unbelievable. Stick around until the very end, and I'll tell you exactly how much one of these forgotten coins actually sold for. You don't want to miss it. Let's rewind the clock. The year is 1971. The Beatles have broken up. Walt Disney World has just opened its gates for the first time. Gas costs just 36 cents a gallon. It was a time of change and invention, and in the world of coinage, the U.S. Mint continued producing the iconic Jefferson nickel. This particular design had been in use since 1938, showing a serious-looking Thomas Jefferson on the front and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. While it might not have the flash of a gold coin or the elegance of a silver dollar, the Jefferson nickel is one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. It's practical. It's familiar. And, in some cases, like the 1971 D, it can be surprisingly valuable. The D on this coin stands for Denver, the mint location where it was struck. In 1971, the Denver Mint produced over 315 million of these nickels. That's right, hundreds of millions. Which raises the obvious question: how can a coin that was produced in such large numbers be worth anything more than face value? Here's where the story gets interesting. You see, while the majority of those nickels were struck perfectly and entered circulation like normal, a tiny number were not so ordinary. These rare coins had errors, imperfections that happened during the minting process. And those errors are exactly what makes a coin go from 5 cents to 5 figures. Now, not all errors are obvious to the untrained eye, but they can include things like off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned. Or die clashes, where parts of the design from one side appear faintly on the other. Sometimes, coins are struck on the wrong planchet. That's the metal disc used to create the coin. Imagine a 5-cent coin struck on a blank meant for a dime. That sort of mix-up is incredibly rare and extremely valuable. Another sought-after error is called a double die, where parts of the design appear to be doubled, especially on the date, lettering, or Jefferson's face. These doubling effects were caused by the die being stamped improperly and can create striking visual differences. Collectors go crazy for these flaws because they're essentially one of a kind. No two error coins are exactly alike, and when they're preserved in high-grade condition, they can sell for astonishing prices at auction. But it's not just errors that make the 1971 D nickel special. Condition matters a lot. Most coins that enter circulation get nicked, scratched, and worn down over time. But once in a while, a coin is discovered in mint state, untouched, with its original shine and sharp detail. Coins graded by professionals as mint state 65 or higher are very desirable. Combine that with a rare minting error, and you've got something truly valuable in your hands. So how do you know if your 1971 D nickel is the rare one? First, look for that tiny D mint mark to the right of Monticello on the reverse. Then, examine the coin under bright light. Look for anything strange, extra lines, blurry letters, or odd shapes. If you find something that looks off, you might just be looking at a rare error coin, and if that coin is in great condition, stored properly, or somehow never circulated, then it's time to get it professionally graded. Because some of these 1971 D nickels have stunned the coin world when they went to auction. So what's the highest known value a 1971 D nickel has sold for? Now here's the moment you've been waiting for. One exceptionally rare 1971 D Jefferson nickel, with a striking minting error and preserved in top-tier mint state condition, sold for an incredible $99,000. Yes, you heard that right. $99,000 for a coin most people wouldn't look at twice. So, the next time you're sorting through spare change, pay close attention. Don't toss that old nickel aside. Look for the year. Check the details. Because buried in the most unexpected places, you just might find a piece of American minting history, and possibly a small fortune. Third expensive coin, I'm talking about the 1964 D Jefferson nickel, a coin that many people might toss aside without a second thought. But this isn't just any nickel, it's part of a hidden world where pennies, nickels, and dimes can carry values that range from pocket change to jaw-dropping amounts. Stick around, because by the end of this video, I'll reveal just how much one of these coins could be worth. First, let's take a moment to understand the historical backdrop of the 1964 D. Jefferson nickel. The year 1964 was a pivotal time in American history. The civil rights movement was gaining momentum, President Lyndon B. Johnson was in office, and the United States was in the midst of the space race, pushing for human exploration of the moon. In the world of coinage, it was also the final year that the U.S. Mint would produce coins in 90% silver. Just 1 year before the minting of silver coins would come to an end. The Jefferson nickel, which was first designed by Felix Schlag in 1938, had a relatively simple yet timeless design. On the obverse side, you'll find a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and one of the founding figures behind the country's expansion. On the reverse, you'll see an image of Jefferson's home, Monticello, in Virginia. This design has remained relatively unchanged for over 80 years, making it one of the most recognizable and long-standing designs in American coinage. The 1964 D. Jefferson nickel, struck at the Denver Mint, hence the D. mint mark, was produced in large numbers, over 400 million to be exact. So, you might be wondering, how could a coin from a year with such high mintage be worth more than its face value of 5 cents? Well, that's where rarity and condition come into play. While most of the 1964 D nickels were widely circulated and have seen years of wear, there's a particular group of these coins that stand out, those in pristine condition, untouched by time and perfectly preserved. Coins like these are what collectors dream of, because they offer a snapshot of the past, free from the damage that often comes with years of being tossed in pockets, jars, or piggy banks. But the true value lies in something more elusive, the errors. As with many coins produced in large quantities, there were bound to be mistakes in the minting process. While most of these errors are subtle, some are much more significant, and those are the ones collectors are willing to pay top dollar for. One of the most sought-after errors on the 1964 D. Jefferson nickel is the double die error. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly during the minting process, causing the design to be stamped twice. This leads to a noticeable doubling effect on parts of the coin, often on the date, the lettering, or even Jefferson's portrait. This subtle doubling can be hard to detect unless you know what you're looking for, but when you do spot it, it's like finding hidden treasure. Another factor that can increase the value of these coins is their preservation. A 1964 D nickel in mint condition, without scratches, dings, or discoloration, could be worth far more than a well-worn version. In fact, some of these coins are carefully stored, graded, and eventually sold at auction for prices that are hard to believe. The world of coin collecting operates much like a treasure hunt, where a rare error or perfectly preserved coin can skyrocket in value over time. If you have a 1964 D nickel lying around, it might be worth taking the time to inspect it closely. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, how much is a 1964 D. Jefferson nickel worth? In the world of rare coin auctions, one 1964 D nickel with a remarkable double die error, in stunning mint state condition, sold for a staggering $270,000. That's right, $270,000 for a nickel. So, the next time you're going through your change, take a moment to look at your nickels. Pay attention to the year and mint mark, and don't forget to check for any doubling or errors. You never know when you might stumble upon a coin that could be worth a fortune. Especially, we're talking about the 1989 P. United States 5-cent coin, also known as the Jefferson nickel. A coin that, on the surface, seems ordinary, 5 cents, nothing more. But in the world of coin collecting, this humble nickel has sparked a surprising amount of excitement. Stick with me until the end of the video, and I'll reveal just how much one of these little coins could be worth. You won't believe the number. Let's rewind for a moment. The year is 1989. The Berlin Wall is coming down, signaling the end of the Cold War. George H.W. Bush is the President of the United States, and American culture is buzzing with the rise of personal computers and the birth of the Internet. Meanwhile, in the U.S. Mint, they're continuing to produce the Jefferson nickel, a coin that had been in circulation for over 50 years by that point. The design of the Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, features an image of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse. On the reverse side, you'll find Monticello, Jefferson's iconic home in Virginia. It's a simple yet elegant design that has endured for decades and is instantly recognizable to anyone who's ever used a nickel. The 1989 P. Jefferson nickel was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is indicated by the P mint mark. While millions of these nickels were produced, over 1 billion to be exact, what makes the 1989 P nickel interesting is that despite its massive mintage, it has become a sought-after coin in certain collector circles. So, what makes the 1989 P Jefferson nickel stand out among the rest? Like many coins, its value is tied to condition and the possibility of mint errors. Most of the 1989 P nickels in circulation are worn, scratched, and damaged from years of use. These coins will generally only be worth their face value of 5 cents. But there are rare examples out there, coins that escaped the wear and tear of daily life and remained in pristine condition. These coins, called mint state coins, are highly valued by collectors, but it's not just about the condition. There are certain errors on 1989 P nickels that make them especially valuable. One of the most desirable types of errors are double die errors. These occur when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing parts of the coin's design, like the date, lettering, or Jefferson's portrait, to appear doubled. A double die error can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a collector's dream. Error coins like these are highly sought after because they're unique and often represent an interesting mistake in the minting process. If you have a 1989 P nickel and notice that the design appears a little off or doubled in certain places, you might be holding a coin that's worth far more than just 5 cents. Even if your 1989 P nickel isn't a double die error, don't despair, condition is key. Coins that have been kept in excellent condition, untouched by circulation, and preserved in a clean and safe place can fetch impressive prices. Coins that are graded MS-65 or higher by a professional grading service can be worth a lot more than you'd expect, especially for a coin that's over 3 decades old. Now, let's talk about rarity. You might be wondering how a coin that was produced in such large numbers can still be worth so much. Well, here's the thing, while many of these 1989 P. Jefferson nickels were produced, only a small fraction of them have survived in mint condition, and even fewer have the rare mint errors that collectors crave. That's why it's important to look carefully at the 1989 P nickels you might have. So, what's the big payoff for a perfect example of the 1989 P Jefferson nickel? If you manage to find one that is in mint state or has a major mint error, you could be holding a coin worth much more than you think. In fact, one particularly rare 1989 P Jefferson nickel, in top-notch condition and featuring a major minting error, recently sold for an eye-popping $140,000. Yes, you heard that right, $140,000 for a 5-cent coin. So, the next time you're sorting through your loose change, take a moment to inspect your 1989 P nickels carefully. Look for the P mint mark, check for any signs of doubling or other minting errors, and examine the condition of the coin. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and sometimes the most unexpected coins can end up being worth a small fortune. If you have a 1989 P. Jefferson nickel that's been tucked away in a drawer or jar for years, it might be time to give it another look. It could be your ticket to a significant windfall. Last unique coin, we're talking about the 1999 P. United States 5-cent coin, also known as the Jefferson nickel. Now, I know what you're thinking, 5 cents isn't a lot of money, so how could this coin possibly be worth anything significant? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this seemingly simple nickel could be worth a small fortune. Let's rewind to 1999. This was a time of great change and excitement in the United States. The country was in the midst of the dot-com boom, the Y2K scare was making headlines, and the world was preparing for a new millennium. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of nickels as part of its regular coinage. The 1999 P. Jefferson nickel, with the familiar P mint mark indicating it was struck in Philadelphia, was just one of the many coins circulating at the time. So, how does a coin that was minted in such large quantities end up being worth a lot of money? Let's dive into that. The design of the Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American currency for decades. Introduced in 1938, it features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the obverse side. On the reverse, you'll find a depiction of Monticello, Jefferson's estate in Virginia. This design has remained relatively unchanged for over 80 years, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage history. Now, while the 1999 P. Jefferson nickel was minted in large quantities, over 1 billion of them, to be exact, what sets it apart from the rest of the pack is the rarity and condition of certain specimens. As with any coin, the value can vary dramatically based on how well it's been preserved. Most of the 1999 P nickels in circulation today have been used in daily transactions, and as a result, they're often worn down, scratched, or damaged. But here's where things get interesting. A well-preserved, or even better, an uncirculated 1999 P nickel can be worth a lot more than its 5-cent face value. What exactly does uncirculated mean? It refers to a coin that has never been used in circulation, one that is in perfect, mint condition. These coins have no signs of wear, tarnish, or damage and are almost as perfect as the day they were minted. But we're not done yet. There's another factor that could make the 1999 P. Jefferson nickel even more valuable: error coins. Yes, mistakes happen at the mint, and sometimes those mistakes result in coins that are far more valuable than the regular issue. In the case of the 1999 P. Jefferson nickel, one of the most desirable errors is the double die variety. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts during the minting process. This causes certain parts of the coin's design, like the date, the lettering, or Jefferson's portrait, to appear doubled. If you happen to come across a 1999 P. Jefferson nickel with a noticeable double die error, you may be holding onto a rare and highly valuable coin. Error coins are coveted by collectors because they are unique and often one of a kind. A double die error is one of the most sought-after mistakes, and it can dramatically increase the value of the coin. If you happen to have a 1999 P nickel with this kind of error, it could be worth much more than a typical nickel, even if it's not in perfect condition. Another factor that increases the value of these coins is their historical significance. The 1999 P. Jefferson nickel was part of the final year of the U.S. Mint's Return to Monticello design series. This series was produced as part of the Mint's program to redesign the nickel, and it would be the last year the reverse side depicted Monticello before the design was changed again in 2004. For collectors who are passionate about U.S. coin history, owning a well-preserved 1999 P. Jefferson nickel is a tangible piece of the story behind the coin's evolution. But what's the real prize here? How much can a single 1999 P. Jefferson nickel be worth? The answer might surprise you. In recent years, certain 1999 P. Jefferson nickels, especially those in mint condition and with rare error varieties, have sold for an eye-popping amount. One notable example, a perfectly preserved 1999 P. Jefferson nickel featuring a double die error, was recently auctioned for a stunning $100,000. Yes, you heard that right, $100,000 for a single 5-cent coin. Imagine stumbling upon a coin like that in your pocket change. This just goes to show that there is real value in coins that may seem ordinary at first glance. With a little knowledge and a keen eye for detail, you could be holding onto a treasure worth far more than you ever imagined. So, what should you look for when inspecting your 1999 P. Jefferson nickels? First, check the condition. Coins that have been well preserved, uncirculated, or in mint condition are always worth more. Then, look closely for any signs of a double die error. Pay attention to the details of the date, the lettering, and Jefferson's portrait. If you spot any doubling, you might just have a coin that could make you a small fortune. As always, when it comes to rare coins, it's essential to get a professional grade and appraisal before making any final decisions. A coin that's been graded well can be sold at auction or through dealers who specialize in rare currency, potentially fetching you a life-changing amount. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1999 P. Jefferson nickel and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an exciting discovery. Keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, you might just find your next big treasure.